Greetings, and welcome to the first Real Talk, a somewhat weekly video series where I go and answer your burning questions. Now, since this is the first ever Real Talk, I had my friend Papskull come up with some questions which range from simple to more thought-provoking ones. This video is more of a guide of what the questions can be, which can be used as such if you want to send in your own. Now, I won't be able to answer or give advice to all these prompts due to my inexperience on the subject, but rest assured I will try my best to get through them all. Alright, enough chatting. Let's get to the actual questions. Alright, so the first question I have here is, what's your favorite soup? Now, I've not had that many soups in my lifetime yet. I think the only ones I've really had are chicken, and I think a lamb, or like a beef soup, something like that. But my all-time favorite that I've ever had, and I still love eating it, is a corn chowder. Now, I don't even know if you'd even consider this a soup because it has the word chowder in it. It doesn't even have soup in the name, but I did just Google this up. Chowder is considered a soup, which is kind of weird. Why couldn't you just call it like corn soup or, corn with cream soup? Maybe not. Maybe we'll just keep it at corn chowder at this point. I'm kind of getting a bit too in depth here. So, the next question is, are there any good books you've read recently? Now, I've kind of just gotten back into reading, so I'm not really I can't even remember what the last book I read was, to be honest here. But I will say the book that I am reading right now is called Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. Now, this is a really random book to name up, but I found this book out because I've joined PewDiePie's book list that he's read a book a month type thing, and I mainly joined it because I just wanted to get back into reading really. And some of the books he reads I quite like. I'm quite into philosophy, so most of the books he has recommended or that he set for each month are more philosophy and more thoughtful related. And Tao Te Ching is Chinese proverbs or Chinese poems, I guess, that just give life advice. Not really life advice. It's more like life within Taoism, but it is quite helpful because it gives you a different perspective on your own life, and it also gives you a different lens into what other people believe in as well. Because I grew up in a Christian family, and I was only ever taught Christianity and things like that. So reading these type of books where it's a different religion, different type of belief, it's kind of an eye opener for me, because then I can find out similarities, or I can find out differences, and I can also integrate some other parts of that into my life. So that's what I quite like reading. I also have been reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. This is another book that's more philosophy, not really religion, but more philosophy anyway. But it's quite a nice book. It's more about Stoicism this time, instead of being a religion. So, and Stoicism's just, it's kind of hard to explain. I just like reading these books because I can find stuff that I want to improve my life on, and Meditations does help. And I will say Stoicism has helped me in a way, because when I was younger, a couple years ago, I had a lot of really bad anger issues, and I'd always be annoyed at people when they did stuff. And when I first heard about Stoicism, and I read a couple bits of their books and literatures, I don't even know, but I read a couple of their things, and I was like, wow, this is great. I'm actually gonna try and implement this, and it has helped. I do feel less inclined to get angry, and I do feel more patient with others as well. And then now we have some fantasy books that I'm planning on reading. I've not read them yet, but I know that they're good. Hopefully. So the first book I'm gonna talk about here is Dune by Frank Herbert. Now, of course, everyone's probably heard this book. It's an absolute classic at this point. But I have never read Dune. I've not even seen the movies. So I'm quite excited to see this, and, well, not really see it, but more imagine what it's like before I even go see the movie, if I even want to. But it's quite a big book, and it's just to clarify, it's the first Dune book. It's not like any of the sequels or anything. I know the sequels, but I'm not really bothered to read them. So yeah, Dune, I would quite recommend if you like really old sci-fi literature, especially Dune. Dune's super old. And then the next one is Predator's Gold by Philip Reeve. Now this is the sequel to Mortal Engines, which I've already read, but I might need to reread to catch up or like recap what's already happened. But Mortal Engines is more like about Mortal Engines is about the world. It's just in a giant train track, and every single country has their own trains. If I'm correct, I'm not too sure. I do definitely need to reread Mortal Engines before I read Predator's Gold. And then another book I would highly recommend reading would be The Hobbit. Now, The Hobbit's a lot more. Well, for me, I find it sometimes it's quite hard for me to read because then you're so engrossed in the words you then have to reread the entire sentence again. The Hobbit's like one of those types of books for me, but I really like how it goes in detail and it explains everything like super well. In the opening chapter of it, it describes the Hobbit hole like so well to the point where I think it's in real life, and of course it is in real life because we have in New Zealand we have like the Hobbit village. I don't even know what it's like. The hill, over the hill or whatever. Not even over the hill. Sorry, that's even worse. I know I should know this, but I don't. But Hobbington, I don't even know. But we have that place down here, and I have been to it. It's really cool. I would recommend going there if you do come down, but it's like a one-time thing, really. Yeah, I think that's all the books I would recommend or that I am reading right now. Do not read as many as I am, especially if you're getting into reading again, because it's like quite taxing, and you feel like you don't want to read anymore. You know, it's weird. You don't want to exhaust yourself when it comes to reading or doing anything really. I've kind of learned that the hard way though. Alright. Man, Papschool, some of these questions are so weird, okay? Like, do you like watching / reading romance media? Like, why would anyone need to know this? Come on, man. I might as well answer it anyway at this point. I only discovered this quite recently, but overall, I genuinely hate, like, romance media, manga, whatever. I don't even any form of media that's like strictly romance. You know, like if it was Love Island, nah, man, I ain't touching that, bro. That's boring. Okay. I quite like more stories and stuff like that like integrate it in slowly, or like you know you get like little hints in, and of course romance media does do that, but it's a bit what I mean is okay, I'll tell you right now. I've been reading a manhwa called. I need to pull it up on my phone now. Hold on, give me a moment, guys. Let's see what's called. Reformation of the Deadbeat Noble. That's the manhwa I've been reading. Now, at the start, it's very motivational. It made me want to do stuff. So it's more like a I guess like a coming of age. Is that right? I don't even know. Coming of age story? I don't even know, man. But it's a very motivational story at the start, and it like shows this kid who's done nothing in his life, and he finally decides to do something, and it's very inspirational. That I keep on saying it is, but it really is. Like, I actually wanted to do stuff. I wanted to go out there and swing a sword, man, but I couldn't because I couldn't make one very well. Papschool could testify to this. He's seen my swords; they're horrible. Anyway, but near the end, where I've caught up already, but it's still an ongoing series. But somewhere in the middle of the line, there is a bit more of a romance arc, and I can tell it's more of like a filler side thing, because they're trying to prep up for other stuff. But it was really good. Like, I already knew something was gonna happen, but the way the story did it was really nice, I think, especially with the main character and the other main character, I guess. I don't know. There's like 4 main characters in here. But it was really nice. I quite liked it. It was very cutesy. Let's just give it that word. I quite like the cutesy stuff, I guess, if it was coming to romance. I don't know, it's weird. I'm very skeptical about romance, but when it comes to stuff like this, I really like it because it integrates it into the story and it feels right. But if it's like, I feel like it only works if it's not a romance type story. Like with this one, it definitely wouldn't be a romance. I don't even see it as a romance story. I see it more as a epic fantasy battle type thing. If even if you would call it epic, it's not really epic, but to me, I find it cool. But I don't see it as a romance novel or media or anything like that. But if it's like a small arc, I'm definitely into it, especially if they do it right. In my mind, I guess that's like the only thing really. If they do it right, it's good. It's good with me. Alright, this is my third take doing this question. This is like a genuinely hard question to answer or like to format well. Um, I feel like I don't have my own personality. So the basic answer for this is to be yourself, right? But to me, I feel like this contradicts the entire question because if you don't think you have your own personality, right? You can't be yourself. I mean, that's what most people think anyway. Is like, oh, I don't have my own personality, so then I can't be myself. But I think everyone does have their own personality. They just need to find it. So I have a quick story time here, I guess. So last year, I decided to. Well, actually, I should say, a couple years ago, I kept every single year I went to my church. I would always make like a Louis persona or like a facade or something to like a mask to hide myself, because I didn't really connect with them a lot. I didn't really want to talk to them a lot, you know, things like that. Just all these people at my church, I didn't really like talking to them much or like exposing myself a lot. But people within my age group, I did want to talk to them because I felt left out, and there wasn't really much else to do there. You know, you could read the Bible, and that was about it. So, and sometimes like after the meetings or after the church, whatever, there you would have a little chat. You have an end of meeting chat thing, you know. And during those times, I always made like a fake persona or facade to hide behind, and I felt like I didn't connect to those people. Even though they were in my same age group and things like that, I just felt like I didn't connect with them. So last year, I decided to just go in there, by like with myself, just be myself, pretty much. And from that, from that, I gathered that I was able to have a lot more meaningful conversations with people, and I felt like I could connect to them a lot more, and most of all, I felt like I was myself. And that's the point, that's the easiest answer, like, you just be yourself, and it should solve all your problems. But if you don't think you have your own personality, then how can you be yourself? So, my answer to that part of that question is, try and find your own personality. Like, for me, I just use the same one that I have with my family and friends, because usually with your family and friends, you have your own personalities for them, but what I did was I integrated them both, and that's how I came up with, well, that's how I came out with being myself, was that it was just a mixture of the two, so I could, you know, feel comfortable at all times. So that's what helped me, but yeah, you just need to find it, I think. If you're able to find it just by talking to people, just by um, thinking about what you're interested in, that's what really helped me. I thought about stuff I was interested in, and I tried to have conversations about them, because that made it easier for me to talk to them, and it also made me feel more like myself. So I quite like music, and I found I was much more at ease when I was talking about music with people, or even books, or even movies and things like that. Now, when you're in church, they don't really talk about much, so it's quite hard to bring up music or anything like that. But sometimes when I did, I felt a lot more comfortable, and I felt like I could talk to them. But most of the time, it was just religious things like that. But I guess that's the best way to start, is to find something that you're interested in and see how you can branch out and find yourself in that kind of area. Because the more I guess the more you talk, the more of your personality you build and like slowly construct to make it better. I guess not really better, but you get the idea. You slowly form it, and then you can finally feel like yourself, essentially. As I said, this is quite a hard question to ask, because there's a lot of different like ways you can feel like you don't have your own personality. So, but that's the only answer I can really give. Just to be yourself and to just try and find your own personality if you don't think you have one at all. Well, that's all I have time for today. I hope you got something out of it. If you do have any burning questions or need advice on something, you can email it to xshivex.realtalk@gmail.com. That's xshivex.realtalk@gmail.com. And with that, I wish you all the best. Farewell, and take care.